Hello, everybody. This is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. And tonight I'm going to be talking about abortion, compassion, and common sense. Don't ban abortion, eliminate the need for it. This is a radical but obvious way of approaching this, and I really can't wait to talk about it. Actually, I can, and I'll tell you why I can wait to talk about it in a minute. But before we do that, I'm going to pass you on to Sweet Baby James, who's going to introduce you to our show.
Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World, where once again we're going to hear the wit, wisdom, and uncommon sense of Granny Beth Green. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, be sure to be with us for about the 15-20 minutes of the show, 6:30 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
Granny, take it away.
All right.
Over to you.
First of all, I want to tell everybody that this is talking about abortion. This is Sweet Baby James' birthday, and I'm glad that his mother didn't abort him.
Me too.
And actually, he wasn't in danger.
That's true. It was a lawfully wedded couple.
Right. I'm not going to make any other editorial comments about the family. So anyway, everybody wish him happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sweet Baby Jane. So, okay, now, the reason that I'm so hesitant to talk about this topic is that lately, I mean for months, I've been getting the best kind of responses on Facebook. I've been talking about deep issues, shifting our perspectives on things, and it hasn't been controversial. I haven't used the Trump word much, you know what I mean? That Elizabeth said, hello, Beth and James. Hello, Elizabeth. So happy that you could join us tonight. And so, what usually happens is like, okay, I'll have a word like abortion in the topic. And then Elizabeth said, happy birthday, James. And Todd said, hi, Beth and James, and happy birthday, James. Hi, Todd. So I'll have some kind of a topic, and then people start trolling, and they come after me, and they don't even listen to the thing or read what I've written, but they get busy attacking me for what they think that I'm saying. And so I get all kinds of vitriol and all that. So I hesitated when I talked about, talking about the inner being doesn't seem to elicit that kind of anger. Oh, Elizabeth said hi from Lulu. Hello, Lulu. So glad that she's joining us too. How are you, Lou? Right. So, but Shauna said, happy birthday, James. Good to see you both. Hello, Shauna. Always great to see you too. So I don't know how many of my fans I'm going to lose over the show, but what can I do? I'm going to take a chance because this has to be, I checked in what the people wanted me to talk about today, and I heard it was about abortion. Now, for those of you who may have been in a fallout shelter for the last few days.
You mean fallout from the news?
Yes. The Alabama state government has just passed a law. Oh, my goodness. REA says, hi, Beth and James. Hi, REA. And Deborah says, happy birthday, Young'em.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh, you don't want to tell them how old you are, do you?
Forever young.
You don't want to tell them how old you are, do you?
Why not?
Okay.
I just turned 75 years young.
That means that he is, young man.
Young.
So that's right. He's only 3/4 of a century old, and that really sounds scary. Anyway, so back to talking about 3/4 of a century, I remember the day when abortion was illegal. But anyway, the passage of this Alabama law that bans all abortions except to save the mother's life. And doctors who perform abortions could be sentenced to 99 years in prison. And so, of course, there's a big uproar, right? There's always going to be a big uproar. And the sides are drawn as usual. And I hear the same arguments. Oh, Deborah said, well, you don't look it.
There you go. I'm 55, forever.
Oh, that's right. Sure. Well, I'm 74, but don't tell anyone. Anyway.
I'm her senior.
The sides are drawn. Yes, he is a few months. The sides are drawn. Some people, Amy said, wow, fantastic, James. All right. Thank you, Amy. So some people are screaming already. Women have a right over our own bodies, and this is just an issue of women's rights. And of course, it can certainly look that way when you look at the Alabama legislature, which is overwhelmingly male, and so on. But is that really the only issue involved? See, I would like to beg to differ about that. In fact, I would like to point out that having a child or not having a child is not just about the woman. It's about everybody. Oh, Deborah says, well, you are young looking too. That's only because you're not seeing the light, seeing me in the light. But thank you. Anyway, getting into from the love part to the maybe you won't love me so much when you hear what I have to say part. So other people are involved. It's not just the woman and her body. The father of the child could be involved.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it's just the woman's right. But, maybe the father has something to say. Or the parents, if the child, if the woman and young and man are young, the parents of them are going to be involved of, what about them? And are they going to have to take care of the child? And, if it's born and, all that kind of stuff. So all kinds of people are involved. Oh, Debbie said hi to you both. Just love your live post.
Deborah had an additional remark.
Oh, LOL, you silly. Oh,
Yeah.
That was probably about my wrinkles. I'm sure it wasn't about abortion. Thank you, and thank you, Debbie. So I feel like I'm surrounded by my family here. So everybody is really impacted by whether or not that woman has to, let's say, maybe she's going to lose work because she's pregnant, or maybe she's going to be traumatized because she has an abortion, or maybe the whole family's going to be torn apart, or maybe the woman and her and the guy, assuming that it's a heterosexual couple, and they haven't done in vitro, which wouldn't be accidental. A lot of people are involved. And the other children could suffer too, of course, if there are so many children and you bring another one in. But see, then the people on the other side, they get into their, banging their drum. Abortion is immoral. We have to protect the sanctity of life. And, that's all hogwash too. I mean, I'm not saying that abortion is a good thing. But, there are so many ways that we turned a blind eye to the sanctity of life, including the fact that 1 million species on the planet are at the risk of being extinction. But see, their lives have no sanctimoniousness about them, right? Nobody,
they wouldn't even know how to pronounce it.
No, I mean, what about the sanctity of the animal kingdom? Oh no, and what about that and the religious thing about we were given dominion over the earth? We're supposed to take care of it, but we're not. So are they the only people whose lives are important? And what about all the children who are already born who aren't getting food, and when there's an assault on food stamps, and the elderly who were once children, may I say, and also have a sanctity of life, running out of money, don't have enough food, money for food, and so on. So the whole thing, I'm so sick of it. I hope you are too. I mean, let's look at the sides are drawn, and we keep hearing the same story over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Right?
So do you have any ideas as to what we could do?
I have an idea. I had an idea today. And by the way, I have to tell you this, that the head of the Department of the Interior found out that the carbon dioxide level has reached a record in the world. And he said he's not losing sleep over it. See, but I'm losing sleep over climate change, because I'm losing sleep over, okay, how many wildfires are we going to have this summer? How many tornadoes are going to drop down? How many more people and wildlife are going to suffer? How much more damage is there going to be? But see, he's not losing any sleep over that, right? Because he's not really worrying about the sanctity of life. He's worrying about the sanctity of the dollar and how much fossil fuel we can burn in order to keep the economy going. There is, and where is the uproar about that? Are we taking care of the earth? So there's a lot of hypocrisy on all sides. I couldn't help but throw that in about he's not losing any sleep over.
So what's your alternative?
So the alternative is to have a real conversation. And one of the things that I would like to say is that if we put as much effort into solving this problem, Deborah said, yes, you're right. Thank you, Deborah. So if we put as much energy into solving the problem of unwanted pregnancies as we have into yelling at each other, demonizing one another, And Deborah says, true. And, into just making everybody else wrong and getting on a high horse, we might start having a solution to these issues. For example, okay, the women's rights, they got a high horse. I know that high horse very well. I've been on that one. And the anti-abortionists, they have a high horse. Everybody's got a high horse. Now, why don't we start with...
My horse is higher than yours, yes.
Why don't we start by talking about the truth? Abortion is not benign. It isn't benign for the mother. It's not benign for the father. It's not benign for whatever life form is in there. I mean, if a plant shrinks when you're going over to it with a pair of scissors, why are we thinking that there is no impact of abortion on an unborn child? That's absurd. It's just absurd. At the same time, to force people into unwanted pregnancies is also not benign. There is pain everywhere. Now, I was asking myself today, what, for example, and see, I'm not putting myself forward as an expert in how to deal with this. I'm just putting some thoughts out on the table for us to start switching our paradigms, to start thinking about the real issues. How do we eliminate unwanted pregnancies? What do we do? Why don't we put more energy into that? For example, there is a morning after pill. Now, the morning after pill doesn't resolve all the issues, but it stops the pregnancy in its tracks. I don't know how safe it is. I understand that it's 90% effective. I did like a quick look on the internet today, where I get all my misinformation, as do you. But how many of these morning after pills are available? How many young people know about them? How many of them are able to get them, right? Now, what other resources do we have? Who are the people who are most likely to have unwanted pregnancies? People like myself who are using the diaphragm and we're just not lucky, except that I had a miscarriage. And other people, who is it? Older women, younger women, impoverished women, people with less education, people with more education. Who is it? Why don't we study that? I bet there's already people who've studied that. Why don't we take a look? Why don't the pro and anti-abortionists sit down at a table with people who know something other than having opinions and find out what options are available? Who is most likely to suffer from unwanted pregnancies? How can we make other options available to the people who need them? As I said, Deborah says yes. I cannot tell you what the best ways are because I haven't done the study. My subject is human consciousness. And I see how fucked it is around the subject of abortion, just like it is around so many things, where we don't want to come together to have solutions. We'd rather put ourselves on a high horse. Deborah says Beth for president. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Okay,
hear, hear.
I have 2 votes. Who's going to nominate me? Who's going to run me? And I'm going to be...
And you can throw my hat in the ring.
All right. All right. I love that, Deborah. It's true. I mean, it's just common sense, isn't it? What I'm talking about is bringing together common sense with compassion, common sense with compassion for the mother, common sense with compassion for the father, common sense for and compassion for the grandparents, for the other children, for all the people involved, compassion for the unborn child, common sense and compassion. That is the answer to our problems. Why don't we do it? I am daring all of you, everyone who's on a high horse now, to get off your horse and to get together and sit down at a table and get the information we need to find out why this is happening in our society. Some of it is just sheer misery and loneliness. Deborah said absolutely. Misery and loneliness lead to unconscious sex, which sometimes leads to unwanted pregnancies. And I said sometimes It has nothing to do with being unconscious. It just happens that the birth control didn't work or whatever. But let's look at the emotional components and let's do that with compassion and common sense. What can we do to co-create a world where people have their needs met and they feel better and they're not desperately looking to sex to solve their problems? Young people who are lost and feel like they have no meaning in life. Young people who are kept in ignorance by a society that would rather jail people than educate them. Let's go to that level of conversation and let's end the sides and only have one side, which is the side of compassion and common sense. And Todd said, I love your passion. Thank you, Todd. Tonight, after this show at 7 o'clock, we have a program called Growth, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And the instructions are on the post about how to join us. It's a video conference where people get to talk about how the topic of growth relate to them. All the topics of the 3 shows that came before. I invite you to check it out. The first one is free. I invite you. Todd says, yes, let's end the sides. Elizabeth says, ditto. And don't forget to come back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:30 to hear Granny Rocks Our World Grow. And tomorrow night, I'm playing the piano. Tomorrow is Thursday. Dreams of Peace at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Oh my God, that program is doing so. People are liking it and loving it. And I've got fans in Europe. Can you believe it? So that's a wonderful thing. Nobody is going to hate me for that. So I'm so happy with my audience that's here. And those of you who want to spread this word, you know how to do it. Like it, share it, comment. Deborah says yes. And let's start thinking about this. And think about whether, without having heard this, if you would have taken a side. And if you would have taken a side and that you were impacted by this show, share it. Because if it has had an impact on you, it might have an impact on someone else. Bless you. Thank you. And see you again soon.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.